Yeah, and everybody always makes fun of it. So he only goes out to play at night. But you only like to go out to play at night, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, guys!
Hey, guys!
My name's Ants, and welcome to Sloth Love Chunk, a Goonies superfan podcast. Each episode, my co-host Matt and I discuss an aspect of the 80s cult classic film, The Goonies. We're both huge Goonies superfans in love with this timeless movie for the past almost 40 years. Join us each week as we discuss everything Goonies. We'll be talking about production details like the screenplay, soundtrack, deleted scenes, merchandise. We'll even be talking to other Goonies superfans like you. Who knows? Maybe we'll even have somebody special stop by the house to use the bathroom. It's gonna be amazing. So come on, grab your treasure map, go to wherever you get your podcasts, and find the rich stuff with Sloth Love Chunk. Welcome back to episode 6 of Sloth Love Chunk. I'm your host. Do that every time. You always do that every time. I'm your host, Ants.
And I'm Matt.
And on this episode of Sloth Love Chunk, we are going to blow our load and do deleted scenes. This is a big one, guys.
Gosh.
I feel like it's a big one because it's deleted scenes, but then I also feel like everybody knows the deleted scenes. But we're going to try to bring it.
Maybe not the one we're going to talk about.
I got way more deleted scenes than you do, man. I know.
Okay,
I know I'm going to kick your butt on this.
All right, well.
So, as always, be sure to check us out. We got an Instagram, Sloth Love Chunk Pod. Email us at goondocs@slothlovechunk.com. But most importantly for this episode, I'm going to go ahead and try to link or upload all of the videos for deleted scenes to our website. So you guys can watch the videos there. I'm also going to put up stills from the scenes that there are no videos for, but we knew that they were filmed because there's the still images from them. Those are going to be at our website at slothlovechunk.com. That's love without an S, because that's the way Sloth says it. All right, Maddie.
Yes.
How are we going to do this?
You want to do it like I watched the movie deleted scenes, so we're kind of working off different resources here. But I went off the movie, like the DVD special extras.
Do you want to go how they would appear in the movie, like chronologically, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
So you'll have to start us right, because I'm guessing your script read-through revealed a deleted scene somewhere in there?
Well, not necessarily, but I think the first main deleted scenes would be the car chase.
Ooh.
So I knew it. I knew it.
Go on.
You were going to be like the quick stop place, weren't you?
Well, I knew there was something because there was that scene they talk about in, I think it's when they're doing the voiceover and they're talking about a car that goes off.
You can see the car go off, the cop car go off the docks, the goon docks, and fly into the water. She kind of lands on a boat.
Yeah.
That's during like the behind the scenes featurette that's on the Blu-ray DVD. It's like it's a standard edition of most releases of the movie now, where it's a real quick like 10-minute behind the scenes featurette. They're showing quick cut scenes and stuff, and they show the cop car flying off the docks. That was actually supposed to happen around Stef when she's sticking her head in the barrel looking for crabs. And the Fratelli chase happens behind her. So yeah, there's that. But there's also, during the initial Fratelli chase, there's a scene with Troy and Mr. Perkins talking about whose house they're going to tear down. In the screenplay, Troy and Perkins are playing golf. And then, this gets complicated because then the gorillas come. The gorillas are before this. So, we got to bring up the gorillas. The gorillas are the biggest problem when it comes to the deleted scenes. Because
there's conflicting stories, right?
There's conflicting stories, and they appear at different points in the movie, and there's not really clear video evidence of how they handled the gorillas. A lot of documentaries about the Goonies will say that the gorillas were released when the Goonies were messing with the pipes beneath the country club and messing with all those pipes, somehow messed up with the zoo. And that's how the gorillas got released, was through all that hijinks. If you read the screenplay, during the Fratelli chase, there's an elderly couple, the Simeons. That's their last name.
Oh.
Right. And they have a van, and on the side of the van is painted Bonzo and Bertha, a circus gorilla act. So they're driving slowly, and then the Fratellis are coming up behind them. The elderly man freaks out, so he swerves to the right really quick, misses the Fratellis, and then the cops are coming. They swerve to the left really quick, and their van spins out. The cops come up, and they're like, "Hey, dude, this is a one-way street, old man." And while he's talking to the old man, he hears a bunch of banging in the back and like grunting and stuff. And he's like, "What do you got in the back of this van?" Goes to the back, opens it up, boom, 2 gorillas.
Out come the gorilla.
Out pop the gorillas, and they run off. That's how the gorillas get loose. I kind of want to believe that, as opposed to
that one's easier than the water pipes explanation.
Yeah. So that happens during the initial chase. And in the screenplay, Troy and Mr. Perkins are playing golf, and the gorillas come and steal their golf cart and take off. And it's funny because Mr. Perkins doesn't think they're gorillas. He thinks it's some hairy country club member. You know, so in and out real quick. Boom. But there is conflicting evidence that may not be how it went.
No.
Because there's video evidence out there, and audience, I will link to these videos of the cops chasing the gorillas in Troy's Mustang during daytime. And the only time in the screenplay, the only time that the gorillas get a hold of Troy's Mustang is at night. And it sort of looks like that initial chase scene when they're chasing the gorillas.
Boy,
there's no way to know.
So what side did you say you landed on?
I land on them being released from the van by the cops, because there's a still photo out there where you can see a van that's on the side of the road. The gorillas are in a red Mustang close to the van. And I think that van is the gorilla van. I think the way they did it was that Troy's Mustang was probably just parked nearby.
So was it supposed to be, we established the gorillas during the car chase, and that to me speaks more, the first few minutes of the movie are very hectic. So that would make sense that you want to throw in, the gorillas amongst all that ado. Did the script kind of pepper them in during the movie, like as an ongoing bit?
Yeah, they keep showing up, but it's so confusing because nothing makes sense when they show up. We're really getting ahead of ourselves. The gorillas, let's just tackle the gorillas, because they get so confusing. Their timeline, nothing about them makes sense. Thank God they cut them, because I think if you had left them in, they would have been super confusing.
Right.
So the gorillas, what's interesting about the gorillas is that Steven Spielberg was the one that championed the gorillas. He loved the gorilla idea.
That is so funny.
Richard Donner did not. And Spielberg loved it so much that he actually did second unit directing of all the gorilla scenes. So if you see footage of the gorilla chase, things like that, that was supposedly, that's what they say, that was Steven Spielberg directing those scenes. He was really trying hard to get those gorillas in there.
That's strange for him to be the one.
Well, you think Spielberg's a genius, but when it comes to gorillas, that guy needs to lay off. All right, so where were we?
Are we done with the gorillas?
No. We're going to go all through the gorillas.
Okay.
So the gorillas show up in the initial chasing. We don't see them again until after the kids find Chester Copperpot. There's a scene where they're in a cavern, and the Goonies do a victory pyramid. They find a shovel from Chester Copperpot. Andy shows them how to do a victory pyramid, and they all get up on top.
Which harkening back to that scene.
Mikey gets on top. He's got a shovel. He starts digging through the ceiling. So he starts digging. He actually punctures through the surface, and he's in a zoo. And Bonzo and Bertha are in a cage in a zoo. We don't know how they got in the cage. We never see them after they steal the golf cart or the red Mustang or whatever happens, right? But all of a sudden now they're in a cage at the zoo together. And it's kind of a horny scene in the screenplay because it's saying Bonzo's getting ready to, it literally says he's getting ready to mount Bertha.
Oh, goodness.
Mikey breaks through the ground, like weakens the ground, and Bonzo falls through into the cavern with the Goonies.
Mm-hmm.
So the gorilla is facing off with the Goonies. Goonies freak out. They run down the tunnel. They basically just abandon trying to get out. And they just keep going down the tunnel. And then it says Bonzo climbs up through the hole where, Bertha's waiting for him. And then that's it.
Wow.
So then we see them again when we talked about this in the novelization. It's also in the screenplay where Sloth and Chunk are going through the cavern and Sloth has the frozen turkey leg in his hand. And Bonzo reaches down through the ground and grabs the turkey leg and is fighting Sloth for it. And they're still like in the zoo. Then both of the gorillas fall through the ground now.
Okay. They found a way to patch the first hole.
Yeah, it's really confusing. This just makes no sense. So boom, both of the gorillas are now in the cavern with Sloth and Chunk facing off. And the gorillas get ready to kick some ass. But then they see Sloth's face and the gorillas freak out. They think that Sloth is like, the big bad monster.
Yeah.
So, and he growls at them, So then both of the gorillas climb back up. They freak out. I assume they climb back up. In the screenplay, it actually says they run down a tunnel.
Huh.
So then that's that. You think, okay, either these girls run down the tunnel or whatever. Then all of a sudden, it's like almost the immediate next scene. Troy is at a gas station. This is after Troy's bucket ejected. He's at a gas station. He's yelling at the gas station attendant to fill up his fancy red Mustang. All of a sudden, here comes the gorillas.
There's gorillas.
And they steal his Mustang.
Again.
Or in the screenplay, it's the first time they steal the Mustang.
Oh, right.
But I don't know.
Okay.
So it's the weirdest, like these gorillas, they're just showing up out of nowhere all the time. You don't know how they're getting from one place to the next place. First they're on a golf cart, then they're in a cage in the zoo, they're in the tunnels with Sloth, then they're at a gas station stealing a Mustang. None of it makes sense.
Huh. I wonder if they didn't think there was enough adventure or goofiness in the film?
Well, apparently they said that they didn't have a good resolution. They do show up again at the very end of the movie when it's at the beach. Mr. Perkins is like, come on, Walsh, sign the paper, Walsh. Yeah, and then here comes the gorillas driving the Mustang and they crash the Mustang into Perkins' fancy white Cadillac.
Oh.
And then they drive away.
And that's justice for the Perkinses.
Yeah, basically everybody laughs at him. He's like, "Oh, go ahead and have your laugh today, Walsh. I'll be the one laughing tomorrow."
Oh boy.
But yeah.
How nuts.
Yeah, so thank God they cut that.
Yes.
We got to thank Richard Donner for that.
Whatever he had to say to Steven.
Whatever he had to do. And they use the story is that the gorilla monkey, I don't want to say a pejorative term or whatever, but the gorilla suits were apparently the same suits they used for Tarzan, the Greystoke, the Legend of Tarzan.
Oh,
I think they were Rick Baker.
Fun factoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yikes. Maybe they'll be in the sequel. They'll say, "Oh, the gorillas kids. They had kids while they're because of the mounting. They had kids, and now their kids are going to be in the next one."
When you think about it, gorilla scenes like that, it kind of would make it more of an 80s movie, I feel. Because you did see ridiculous things like that.
Yeah.
In the 80s, So I don't know if maybe they were just trying to go for, a more ridiculous vibe. I don't know, Gremlins vibe or.
Okay.
All right. So, boom. We did did it again. We did the extended chase scene and everything that might have been included in that chase scene, which would have been a 15-minute chase scene, really, if they had left all that in. And like I said before, where did I say this? Like episode 1 or 2? How they just did an amazing job editing this movie and trimming out all the fat.
Yeah.
Really making it move.
Real quick, what it kind of made me think of when you were talking about classic 80s movie was not an 80s movie, but a type of movie. Did you ever see It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World? And then they did a later rendition of called Rat Race. It's basically a bunch of kooky people going after a treasure. And it's very slapstick. And slapstick stuff happens all throughout the movie.
No. Maybe I'd have to see it.
Maybe. I mean, that's how those movies are structured. Yeah. Perhaps that's maybe what they were thinking. Like, let's interject some of that zaniness.
Maybe they were trying to really go kiddie,
No, that too.
All right, Matthew. So give me what you thought was.
All right. What I thought was, because we're going on the movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The first deleted scene in the movie is a convenience store And I actually like this scene. The way I kind of came at this episode was I asked myself if it enriched the film in any kind of way. And I felt this one did for a few reasons. It kind of makes sense that they would kind of stop for supplies as a kid. That would be one of the fun things to do. Like, let's get some supplies. So them stopping just kind of seems natural. It also kind of, if you watch the film enough times, you kind of question, like, how the hell did they know where to go? Did they just happen upon those rocks at some point? So, Mikey looking at the map kind of helps connect those dots.
Definitely explains the plot holes there for sure.
Yeah. And it lets Troy be more of an asshole and lets you hate him more for a little bit, because he comes and he picks on all the Goonies. He actually says one of the funnier things in the movie for me, the deleted scenes, when he says, my mom's making a goon pizza and she needs some frozen dough, and he pushes poor Chunk into the fridge while he's trying to eat free ice cream. So I'll tell you, these deleted scenes, going back to our favorite Goonies episode, it really doesn't help my argument Mikey's the number one Goonie. So it makes me love Data more, because I think we mentioned just how, he has these grumpy moments where he's like complaining about this and complaining about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny to see him kind of negotiating with the cash register lady.
Yeah, Mrs. Easter.
Yeah, and he's just being so grumpy and like trying to get 2 candy bars and money.
Yeah, the story behind that is that Data's fixing her cash register. Her cash register is broken, so Data fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he's negotiating with her basically payment for him fixing the cash register. I mean, like, what does she say? Like, okay, you can have 3 candy bars. And he's like,
and $1.50.
Yeah, I think so. It's that and $1.50. But it's funny, like listening to them in the background negotiating.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I love that too.
And then it makes Andy less of a butthole too, because she kind of looks back and makes sure Brand's okay.
She's got that, what is it, like Stockholm syndrome? Is that what you call it going on?
Yeah.
When Troy's being the big a-hole, and she kind of looks at Troy like, oh, I can't do anything, but I also thought it was weird that he gave Stef and Andy money to play the arcade game.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, that's also the scene with the worst line in Goonies with Branson.
You guys are going to be history?
Yeah. Yikes. Another reason I didn't like him, and I'll bring it up again later, is I don't know if it's they didn't rehearse him a bunch more or didn't do more takes, but the acting seems a little stiff or off in some of these.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's because maybe they just didn't edit it right, but I mean, this scene is famous because this is included on most of the TV airings. They call it like the Disney Channel cut, right? So
right.
Back in the, I don't know if it was late 80s or early 90s, when they would play the Goonies on television, this is one of the scenes that they included because they would cut out the Statue of David scene because they weren't going to show backwards penis.
Yeah.
And what else did they cut out? Oh, man, it's escaping me right now. They cut out backwards penis.
What else would there have been? Did they cut out when Andy kissed a very young Mikey?
It might have been. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting it right now. But anyway, yeah. So this is the one that they always, that got stuck in. What's also interesting too is you can tell that they dub Mouth's voice when he's getting ready to throw down with Troy.
Yeah, that's the other. I also give him some more credit because he jumped in and saved his fellow
Troy's
Goonie.
Trying to burn the map, and he's got Mikey in a headlock, and then Mouth goes over there and he stands up for Mikey, and Troy's puffing on the map. And Mouth goes, yeah, you know what this reminds me of? And then you could totally tell that he's dubbed because his mouth doesn't match.
Super dubbed over.
Doesn't match the words. And he goes, the time what does he say? The time I kicked your mama.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is he saying there? Was he saying like the time like your mama gave me a blowjob or something? Because that would make sense because he's blowing on the But no, I kept trying to look at it. But if you go to the screenplay, he says the time I French kissed your mama.
Oh.
So then if you play it with the sound off, you could totally read his lips.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Like, why do you guys have to edit French kiss? Is that too bad for television?
And they're saying the S word throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, but not on the TV edits. Though.
Oh, right.
All right. Stop and snack. Done.
Just real quick. The other thing I like is all the old school like labels on the products.
Yeah.
I just like RC Cola, and Pepsi and all those old logos.
I didn't like how Chunk was pulling an Ariana Grande and like licking all the, how she licked all those donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like licking the ice cream, then he puts it back. He's like, man, that's a little gross.
Yeah, Chunk. Come on, Chunk. What was your bring up the next scene?
So the next scene is pretty minor. I call it the Pinchers of Peril scene, where the kids are outside the lighthouse lounge, scoping it from afar. And Data's trying to get his gadgets out. He accidentally shoots off his Pinchers of Peril. We would have seen it before the dramatic falling down the whole scene. Shoots out his Pinchers of Peril. Boom! Catches Mouth on the booty. Mouth screaming, oh, let me help you out. Let me get you out for you there. It's pretty funny. He gets it off, and then he finally gets his right invention to come out. He calls it Spy Eyes.
Spy Eyes.
Which is some binoculars that shoots out. But unfortunately, they fly right off, and they break into
true Data fashion. Yeah.
I love his reaction, too. He's like, oh, no.
I know.
And he just rips it off his chest and throws it.
I know. I love Data's grumpy old man vibe that he has going on.
Yeah, just the way he delivered. Oh no, it was so hilarious.
Well, he was so excited. If you watch the scene, he's saying it's working, guys, and he's so excited. And I like that scene because there's this shot of Chunk and Mouth looking at each other with this big crap-eating grin. It just kind of shows how they're pals, goofing around.
You know what I should have called that? The joint the case scene.
I called it the Spy Eyes scene. Funny how
because they're gonna joint the case.
Yeah, we're gonna joint. See, that's where the other part I don't like about that scene is I don't know if it's exposition where Mouth says they're trying to fill like plot holes or thoughts the audience might have, and I honestly didn't have this thought, but Mouth says, what if someone else went looking for this treasure before us? And Mikey has to explain to him and the audience, oh well, to some people the map is a treasure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense coming from a 13-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And he was like, this map is considered art in itself. Just put a frame around it and it's priceless.
Yeah.
Which I guess he's right.
So that scene, when it, measured against what I said earlier, did it enrich or not? It didn't. I could totally do away with that scene.
Is that scene in the TV edit?
No.
You watched it a lot more than me on television.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. All right.
All
right. So what is your next deleted scene?
Going by the DVD or Blu-ray, I should say, it's the Octopus.
But we're not going to even get there yet, bro. Because I got a lot before that.
Okay. You got a lot. Then I'm going to go with the smallest. Gosh dang it. It gives more. I want to have Chunk as number one. And the scene it's very brief. I think it's after Sloth does the pipes, right? It's a scene with Chunk and Sloth in the cave system.
Yeah, that was going to be my next one.
Yeah. So I just love it because, right, like the scene comes in and Chunk's explaining to Sloth.
Set it up.
Yeah. So they're entering the entrance to this cave or the tunnel and they're coming through it. And you can hear Chunk telling Sloth about his friend of his that had a weird thing sticking out of his neck and he had a pet snake.
Two-headed pet snake.
A two-headed pet snake. And it like, what you said, the relationship between these guys is the heart and soul. And I'm seeing it now because of this, just how relaxed they're talking to each other.
Those were like classic Jeff Cohen delivered Chunk lines too. Like he was telling those stories, like the two-headed snake pet story, and then his buddy with the hairy thing on his neck. He was telling those lines. It was good.
Yeah, he's just
that
really...
Sloth is like, woohoo, woohoo.
Yeah, and he said because of that, Kevin didn't go out at night, and it was a sweet moment. He says, "I bet you feel the same way."
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing. He's like, "Yeah," and then of course it ends. The scene ends with Sloth sticking his head down the hole, saying, "Hey guys," or did Chunk say it?
They both said it.
Okay,
they go, "Hey guys." Hey guys, I do that to my wife now, and she's like, "You're saying it wrong." I'm like, "No, it's a deleted scene, honey."
See, she doesn't know.
Yeah, they're actually yelling down the hole that Data did Pinchers of Peril on.
Oh,
that's what that hole is.
For some reason, I didn't think of it as that. So they came right after the Fratellis had gone down, obviously.
Yes. So that scene leads to another problematic scene for me, sort of. It's the Mr. Funnybones scene. Why are you looking at me so confused, Matthew?
That's Is that the organ that Andy plays?
The Mr. Funnybones scene is it was also the novelization. It was the scene where, remember I was telling you that there was a skeleton that is pointing like a sword towards 3 different tunnels. And it's the skull cavern that in the original cut of the movie, when Andy's trying to make it with Brand, and he goes, "Are you crazy? They're here, they're here, they're here, they're here." And they run off, boom, and they run through the
Mm-hmm.
So originally that scene is the Mr. Funnybones scene where they come across a skeleton. It's a puzzle. It's a Willy puzzle. And there's a skeleton there who's pointing. There's a riddle. So the riddle that's on the map that Mouth has to translate from the map and they get to Mr. Funnybones. The riddle is 3 tunnels of mystery all lead to unknown. To travel correctly, tickle the funny bone. This is between when Data falls and they find Mr. Funnybones and they're trying to figure out how to solve the riddle. While they're trying to figure that out, that's when everybody goes and takes a leak. Mikey makes out with Andy. They come back. They still can't figure it out. And that's when, Mikey's telling about the whole thing about which door has the 100,000 toothpicks from when his parents went to Let's Make a Deal. Right. So he's got to pick the right door. His father picked the wrong door.
Which is this is where.
So this is where Stef, being a hoe, comes in to help him out.
Oh boy.
This would never have made the Disney cut. Like, I think they try to like tickle the actual funny bone on the skeleton. And then this skeleton on a wheeled sled comes shooting out of one of the tunnels with a big scythe and goes to cut their heads off, and they duck just in time.
Goodness.
Kind of reminds me of that scene from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Penitent man shall pass.
Right. So boom, even in the screenplay, it says it misses them by like 1 inch. Like, oh my God, we got to get it right. We're going to get our heads cut off. So Stef's like, I know how to solve this riddle. And she tells everybody, I want you guys to turn around and close your eyes. Don't look what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh.
Right. She's like, I know how to tickle the funny bone. And she grabs the crotch of the skeleton. That is tickling the funny bone. And so then the skeleton like is hanging on these chains, and it raises up and points to the correct tunnel.
I bet it rose up.
Right? I'm like,
what in the world?
Yeah. She gives it a hand job.
Was that Spielberg again?
I don't
know,
man.
Off the leash Spielberg?
I don't know.
Wow, there's so many layers to this movie. Wow.
I'm telling you, man, deleted scenes, like you can go down a rabbit hole. So Stef gives the skeleton a hand job. Right? It points to the right one. They actually filmed this because you can find a Mr. Funny, like there's stills out there of Mr. Funnybones. Did you know that, Matthew?
I didn't.
You can even see Mr. Funnybones if you have your trading cards. The trading card set that came out from Goonies, there is a card called Mr. Funnybone. It says the remains of a grinning skeleton, with a little help from Stef, points to the door the Goonies must enter to continue their treasure trek.
No way the card says that.
Yeah, swear to God.
With a little grin.
I'll scan and I'll post it.
Oh my goodness.
He does have a grin. Yeah, but he doesn't have a patch on his eye, which is interesting. It's different from the screenplay.
Well, when he threw his head back, it maybe fell off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Who's going to make like a kid, a young girl, film this scene, you know?
Yeah.
Another instance of thank God.
Boy.
This did not make the movie.
And that's not even like it's just that kind of movie. Because I'm trying to think of what other 80s movies would have a kid do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Well, we'll probably be able to find one if we think hard enough.
Okay, so Stef groping a skeleton.
Yeah.
Is a good segue.
Well, there's a little bit more with Mr. Funnybones. If you don't mind.
Go on.
If you don't mind me adding more to the amazing deleted scene of Mr. Funnybones.
Go on.
So in the screenplay, and I think this translates to the movie as well, after Sloth and Chunk, they're given the whole 2-headed snake story, hairy friend story. They go down, they find Mr. Funnybones, and Chunk actually takes Mr. Funnybones' pirate hat and wears it.
Oh.
And then the next time you see them is when they're going down the sail, which is really interesting too, Matthew, because you don't even realize the shit when you're watching the movie. But if you watch the shit with the eyes of me, when you see Sloth and Chunk, Sloth's riding Chunk's back when they're going down the mast of the Inferno, right, with the knife.
Yeah.
Chunk doesn't have a hat on. They're going down, no hat. Boom. They land. Chunk's got a hat on.
Yeah.
He's got a tricorn pirate hat, which I believe might be Mr. Funnybones' hat. Yeah. But it's kind of a neat, like really quick cut that he's like hat, no hat. Or no hat.
Huh.
So anyways.
And that's when he says, "No, I'm Captain Chunk."
Yeah. I think as kids, we probably just assumed he just took one from a skeleton.
One of the pirates on the ship. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but in the screenplay, he took it from the Mr. Funnybones skeleton. A little more trivia for you, bro. All right.
Yes.
What's your next one?
As I was saying, are you ready for the octopus?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. As I was saying, it's a good segue of groping something to get something getting groped. Is the octopus scene.
Yeah, man. Poor Stef, right? It's all about getting felt up and stuff.
No.
This poor girl.
Giant sushi! Yes. So I did not like this scene. This scene can take a hike.
Yeah. This scene is included on the television cuts.
Yes. Surprisingly. It's just too goofy, from just the way it looks. And even if you watch that documentary on YouTube, Donner said it was too goofy. Just the way it moved.
It looks terrible.
It's awful. It's terrible.
You can tell that they're like, when they're getting strangled by it, they're the ones controlling the arms.
Mm-hmm. They're just kind of holding big floppy styrofoam.
It feels like bad Halloween.
It does. But one reason, well, I don't like anything about it, but one reason I'm glad they cut it, and it's kind of cool to think of it this way. At the end, Data's talking to the reporters, and they say, he says, "Oh, the octopus was very scary."
Yeah.
And if you think about, I think about it as Data bonded with Chunk throughout this,
I think
they weren't together too long.
You're pushing it too far now, bro.
I'm going to live in this alternate dimension where Chunk rubbed off on Data, and now Data's telling tales.
Yeah.
And that's how I want to look at it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I just thought that they just started embellishing, like, oh, they're just going to make this a really great story about octopus.
Yeah. Give your piece on the octopus.
I hate it as well. The best thing about the octopus scene is the song 8 Arms to Hold You, because I love that song. You don't even really hear it that much. I mean, Data sticks the tape recorder in his mouth, which how did that thing even work in the water? This was the 80s.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought when he holds up his tape recorder and he sticks it under the water. Yeah. I was like fried immediately. Right.
And the octopus was so overcome with the beat of that small tape recorder.
He kind of dances away a little bit. Dang. We totally skipped Andy's Goonies oath.
Oh, that's one I don't know about.
Yeah. They totally filmed Andy taking the oath in the wishing well. They did. They filmed the leeches when they're giving Andy the Goonies oath. They don't really finish it because they see leeches are all over Andy, and then they got to use one of Data's contraptions to fry the leeches.
So you're telling me that Andy's not a Goonie?
She's a Goonie.
She never finished the Goonie oath.
She's a Goonie. They filmed it. There are stills out there of Andy taking the oath. There are stills of the leech sing. Ooh, there's stills. They filmed it. There's no video of Slick Shoes. I'm trying to think in order. After Data does Slick Shoes and the Fratellis fall, Mikey and Mouth go back for some reason. Mikey, Mouth, and Data go back to the Slick Shoes log, and they slip and they almost get washed off the log, just like the Fratellis. So there's stills of them like struggling to stay on the log, which
doesn't
drags the scene.
Yeah.
There's no video of this that we know of, just production stills. Most of these stills come from tie-in marketing material, whether it's the trading cards, the souvenir collectors magazine has a ton of cool, the Data's Intimidator, where his whole body puffs up and tries to make him look really muscular to intimidate the Fratellis before he before he does the Bully Buster on there.
I want to see those.
I think they might have filmed it this way, but in the screenplay, he does the Intimidator. He puffs up like a balloon, but it's supposed to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles to scare away the Fratelli. It doesn't work. And then instead of using the Bully Buster, the boxing glove, he uses Bully Blinders. That's when he uses Bully Blinders. Oh. And they come out, and it's a whole bunch of lights. He was trying to blind him, but of course it doesn't work. And then basically Data kind of his whole shirt explodes with green gas from his Intimidator stuff. That I don't know. I mean, I guess the Bully Buster was just like a quick insert. It's not in the screenplay.
How did Data run around with all that stuff?
Movie magic.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a boxing glove and he's got accordion thingies.
So then after the octopus, probably the next big deleted scene that is referenced later in the movie is Mouth and Stef on the plank. So Mouth, after Andy gets pushed into the water and Bran goes in after her, they put Mouth and Stef together to walk the plank. And while they're up there, Stef goes to Mouth. She says, when you run out of air, just turn your face to me and I'll share whatever I have left.
Oh.
Right. And then Mouth references that on the beach when he says, I just want to thank you for offering to save my life.
Right.
What? Oh, wow. Thank you. What a moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your voice doesn't sound so bad when your mouth doesn't ruin it.
So that references when Stef offered to basically give him underwater CPR, but underwater oxygen tank.
I'd never thought of that line. Wow. Must good thing Gonzo does his research.
Yeah, bro. Dude, wow. I do so much research on this. Let me tell you. Doing this podcast it's done a lot to me. I think I probably love the Goonies more than I did before, which is a good thing. And I thought at first that I would just get jaded on it, but the more you just look into it and then you go down these rabbit holes and you learn more and more and more, like I love it. I'm soaking it up.
Yeah.
But what is also happening is it's making me spend a lot of money that I wouldn't have otherwise spent. Trying to find shit on eBay. Like today, I was telling Matthew before we started recording, I spent like 100 bones on eBay trying to buy the High C drink promotional gift. I guess if you bought enough High C boxes back in the day and you sent it in, you could get like a Goonies doubloon, but you could also get like an adventure map, or like a pull-out adventure map thing. And on the back of those, it's got like little bios of all the characters. But what's really cool about that is this totally different episode. This should be like merchandise episode.
Right.
Is that it on Brands, it says, Brands like a handsome athletic guy, but he suffers from claustrophobia.
Whoa.
Which is a huge deal in the book and the screenplay. Brand is very claustrophobic. It becomes a big deal. Actually. But they reference it on this promotional item. So I wonder, like, was that filmed or was the company just giving like an early screenplay to make the promotional stuff? Anyway, that was another $100.
Jeez. Well spent though.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of money, Anthony, that brings us to my final deleted scene, which is the ending. So,
alternate ending.
If you've seen the movie, and I'm hoping everyone who listens to this damn thing has, they run up on the beach. Everyone's there. They're celebrating with their parents. Mr. Perkins, it's being Mr. Perkins, telling him to sign the contract. Mikey's dad. Off screen, in the background, you see Rosalita kind of fumbling through Mikey's jacket. She finds the rubies. Happy ending. The alternate ending, though, is they've actually gotten to packing. Isn't that right? Yeah. They're packing up the Walsh house.
Yeah. The alternate ending starts. They're on the porch of the Walsh house. And each of the Goonies are discussing where they're moving to. Yeah. So it seems like originally they made it through the adventure, but they didn't have Mikey's marble bag. So they're talking about where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Like, where did Mouse say he was going? Like,
so that's what I like Andreas. So Andy is going to Boston because her dad's enrolling her in Sarah Lawrence. Chunk's going to New York.
Yeah.
I forgot. He mentions an uncle or something.
And Sloth's going to play for the Rangers or like
the Sloth's going to try out for the Rangers. Data's moving to Detroit. He says, I think he had mentioned that before anyway, that he was moving to Detroit.
When Motown started.
Yeah. Also got the highest murder rate in the country.
Come on, guys. There's Goonies everywhere. You'll find somebody.
There's Brand again. Brand with his bad line. So yeah, they're all lamenting the fact that they're not sticking together.
And Sloth's there with them. Sloth's there with them. That's when he's wearing the Hawaiian shirt. where you see in a lot of stills where there's pictures out there where Sloth is wearing a Hawaiian shirt. You're like, why the fuck is Sloth wearing a Hawaiian shirt? What the hell's going on?
And there's more scene, well, just real quick before I tell you, Stef ends up going to Canada. Mouth, like you said, he said his dad wants to stick around the San Andreas Fault because there's going to be a lot of plumbing problems.
Why Stef is going to Canada?
Because she's a wanted woman.
Because you only got to be 18 to be at a strip club in Canada.
I hope she got her life together.
That's probably where she was going.
And poor Mikey, he sounds so distraught and so defeated. He says, and he sounds like just a bitter old man. He says, "Oh, we're going to live at my grandma's house and try to make one end meet the other." He sounds so deflated.
That's deluded, you dummy.
Yeah. But it's helping me see.
That whole scene, right?
Yeah. But it also, the good part is it just makes me like Chunk more, damn it. It just, the interaction between him and Sloth is just so great. You need
to listen to me more, bro. You need to let me tell you how to think.
It's awesome. And what I love about it, and I didn't notice until like the third time I watched the deleted ending, Chunk, Sloth is following Chunk with an armful of stuff from the house. And Chunk says, "Hey, be careful with that." And what he's talking about is the statue of David.
Yeah, and in the background, Mr. and Mrs. Walsh are packing up a moving truck, and Perkins is there. Mr. Perkins is there, and that's when they sign the papers for the foreclosure, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then the scene cuts to Rosalita down in the laundry room, and she's kind of talking to herself about the dirty clothes, right?
Mm-hmm. Poor Mexican ladies doing the laundry,
and I hate I think her line is worse than Brand's in the scene. So she finds the rubies and she's like, oh, we saved the Goonies. I saved Goonies. And I thought, that's just...
No, she says it in Spanish too, right? She was like, salve los Goonies.
Yeah. It just so, like I said, it makes me think again of those quirky movies, like Mad, Mad, Mad World, where at the very end, someone screams like that. It just too zany. And I'm glad it wasn't. I'm glad.
So she comes running. She, she realizes the marble bag's full of jewels. She comes running out of the house down the steps, and she's screaming the same thing as the beach, right? No firme, no bien.
Mm-hmm.
Save the Goonies.
Yeah.
And then they run over to the moving truck and go suck an egg, Mr. Perkins, and everybody's happy. The Goondocks are saved. That would have played like as a total just addendum scene, if that's how it. If they had stuck with that, because it probably would have been like a beach rescue or whatever. They find the Goonies and then they go home.
Yeah,
and then they say,
right,
ducks. Yeah, I think it's a terrible alternate ending.
It was
Thank
awful.
God.
I know it was so bad.
It's not that way in the screenplay. In the screenplay, it's the original beach ending, except for one huge difference.
Go on.
It's not Mikey's marble bag that has the gems. It's Sloth. Sloth ate a bunch of gems, and he basically barfs up. He kind of burps or hiccups up a huge diamond. Right? And Rosalie's like, "Oh, diamante?" And then Sloth starts vomiting gems.
No way.
Yeah. And then that's how they get the money to save the Goondocks. No marble bag. But still the whole beach scene, all that's the same. So yeah, I don't know why they did that alternate ending. Maybe they were just there and let's just film. Maybe it'll play, maybe it'll work.
Kind of trick the audience, like, holy crap, they didn't. And then one last little twist.
Yeah. So I will definitely link the video to that alternate ending as well. Watch it. It's super cool to see. But
yeah,
it is not the best scene ever.
No. In my final closing thoughts, if you will, I like what you said earlier about Donner and Columbus and Spielberg just throwing ideas out there. If you watch the documentary or just any footage of them talking about this film, any cast or crew, they talk about all the love that went into it, and you can tell that they were just kind of being kids when they got together with all these wacky ideas. And thank God, like you said, logic won over for a lot of these scenes,
Yeah.
but I just really like the idea that they were that open.
Do you think like if there are like infinite dimensions and universes out there, how they say that there are infinite dimensions?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a universe where the Goonies had the alternate ending?
Yeah.
And it just bombed.
Mm-hmm.
And young Matthew and Ants just grew up with no Goonies in their life. Probably nobody did.
They became disillusioned with life and just thought, well, what's the point?
I just wonder if any one of these deleted scenes were included. Like, would the Goonies have been the same? You know?
Yeah. That's a tough one.
I need to look up the editor of the Goonies and give that guy like a tip.
Right? I mean,
thank you for saving my childhood.
I know.
All right, guys. Well, that was deleted scenes. What are we gonna do next week, Matthew?
I don't know.
Let's do the Drew Struzan movie posters. Struzan movie posters. Same artist that did all of the iconic posters from 70s,
the guys
80s,
the Goonies hanging from the stalactite.
Yeah, let's do that one, Matthew. That'll be fun. Nice quick up.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
I was also thinking pretty soon, let's do an episode. Might be a video YouTube episode. Mm-hmm. Let's play the old 1985, was it Milton Bradley board game?
Okay.
Oh no, let's do it together. Let's see if we can work. If we got our technology to work.
We do.
All right, you know what time it is, Matt?
I do. It's oath time, Anthony.
Time to cook those 24-hour oaths. I thought that was funny.
Yes. Zing.
All right. So, as we do every episode, it's time for the Goonies Oath, where you too can become a Goonie.
Yes.
You can find this Goonies Oath on our website, slothlovechunk.com, or just simply repeat after Matthew and I. Here we go.
Yeah.
I will start, Matt. I will never betray my Goondock friends.
We will stick together until the whole world ends.
Through heaven and hell and nuclear war.
Good pals like us will stick like tar.
In the city or the country or the forest or the boonies.
I am proudly declared
a fellow Goonie. I always get tripped up on through heaven and hell and nuclear war. Like my tongue gets twisted on and nuclear. I have to like really try hard to not go and nuclear war.
Nuclear.
Through heaven and hell and nuclear war.
You would sound like Data.
Hey, watch it. Watch it.
What do you say? What is in the bags? I get tripped up on in the city or the country or the forest or the boonies. It's kind of hard to say.
That's really easy.
No, I don't like it. Look at how dare we question the oath though.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us on yet another episode of your favorite Goonies Superfan podcast, Sloth Love Chunk.
Sloth Love Chunk.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Take it easy. Peace.